I believe what you said, Cameron, counts as both libel and slander.
It's episode 2 of the Whales Are Whales podcast, wherein members, friends, and family of the Whales Are Whales network gather around once a week to talk about stuff. I originally concluded this introduction with the word stuff. Then I learned Cameron hates the word stuff, especially in written form. So
you were
Cameron,
serious when you said you...
I formally apologize.
All right.
Hello, and welcome to Disembodied Voices, episode 149?
You were holding back. You were holding back on us, Bryan.
I was, Steven. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully. How about you?
I'm doing really well. This is a great day. It's even better now that we have our fourth member of Disembodied Voices on the crew, Zachary Walton.
Well, that's actually pretty far off. This would be episode 144.
Am I doing that right, guys? I think that we're the Whales podcast, right? So I should be the whale.
That was pretty good. No, that was pretty good.
I thought you were doing a PewDiePie impression.
That was beautiful. I love that. See, we've actually been looking for some good whale sound effects to use for our introductions. Our Whales Are Whales little spots that we play at the beginning of shows. So maybe we'll end up using Zach's. Wouldn't that be good?
Add some reverb, maybe a little bass. I think we're onto something there.
I would
right now, don't tell anyone, but our actual whale sound effect is not actually a whale.
What is it? Is it an orca?
No, it's actually a silt strider.
No, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be that?
Why
The
wouldn't
only
it be
reason,
that?
only reason that we want to change it is because we're not sure if it's a good idea to use an
Our
officially.
silt strider's copyrighted is our question.
Yeah, that's
you
the
guys
real
would be
question.
fine under some sort of US
Well, of
law.
course
By the
you
way,
would say that.
I have not been introduced yet. I'm very offended.
All right.
Who is this person, Steven?
We'll do some proper
U.S.
structured
law requires that
introductions.
Cameron be introduced within 5 minutes of any podcast.
That's right. It's been 4 minutes and 5 seconds since we started recording, so I am very insulted that it's not been. It's not. Come on, Steven.
We're still
All right,
on
allow me
legal
to
limits
correct
here, Steven.
this.
We can push our boundaries.
All right. The litigious nature of this introduction will end now. Cameron Nutter, welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Bryan Kelly, welcome to the podcast.
Yo.
Zachary Walton, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
And me, Stephen Kelly, welcome to the podcast.
I don't think you're making enough distinction between pod and cast.
Yeah,
Welcome to the pod-cast.
Well, no, okay, that's not what I meant. I mean, like, you could do podcast.
Okay, you got it. That's a good point, Cameron. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
come on.
The
like
only
that.
member that we don't have here with us today is Abigail Inslee, who was here last week. So go
Her
check out
excuse
that if
is
you like her
terrible.
here.
Apparently her best friend is in town or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who needs best friends?
I'm just insulted because
I know,
apparently I'm not
right?
her best friend. So I have now blacklisted ever talking to her.
Okay, that works. At least for
By
this
the way,
week.
Steven, I really need you to make the next third person recording.
Okay.
But
well,
yeah,
maybe
she is unfortunately absent.
I don't know if this would be confusing to people out there, but the reason we kept referencing Disembodied Voices is because that was the podcast with the four of us. It went on for years. It went on for
Like
over
4
100
years?
episodes. It was a big thing.
It was a big thing. It was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, listen. All right, I don't appreciate the blatant insulting of my favorite or least favorite English word. So, why don't we just cool it with the stuff, guys?
All right.
Stuff
Fair
it.
enough. But yeah, Disembodied Voices is actually ostensibly a video game podcast that we had. That was what started all of us into podcasting to begin with, really. Mm-hmm. We had done like a little bit of terrible podcasting before then, but Disembodied Voices is the only thing we were like okay with publishing.
Yeah, it was kind of the thing that turned us into thinking like a podcaster, and from there, Whales Are Whales just popped up, and
Yep.
it got even more exciting.
And
but
then
hey,
they killed Disembodied Voices with a baseball bat. I saw it!
Yep.
Zach,
my
wasn't
bad.
that you? Aren't you the one who usually walks around killing people with baseball bats?
That's Zachary's fictional persona.
I don't know what you're talking about, Bryan.
I believe what you said, Cameron,
Steven,
counts as both
I don't
libel
know
and
what
slander.
anybody. I don't know who anybody is anymore. It must have
Even-
been one of the disembodied voices in my head.
Even if Zachary did those things, he would not be allowed to tell us without his lawyer present. So let's stop harassing him and let's move on with this podcast.
Thank you.
How was that, Cameron?
This was actually an art piece. The name was a metaphor because it's about Zachary's secret schizophrenia. So it's all of just the voices in his head. It was a very deep art piece that ran for like 143 episodes when we finally stopped.
I
wonder if people caught all like the multiple levels of metaphors during all our recordings. Like every line was so intricately planned. It's like the Majora's Mask of podcasts.
I don't think that's true.
A bunch of people,
wouldn't, Cameron. You're playing the part very well.
I don't think that's true either. I don't.
What were you saying, Stephen?
Well, I was just going to say, is it like Majora's Mask in the sense that a bunch of people come together and create this strange thing that is essentially meaningless, but then people go back and find meaning in it?
Pretty much.
I always wonder if that's the case with that game.
Oh, like everything in the design was just accidental, and everyone thinks it's like super meaningful.
I was just playing that today. Yeah.
What were you
Before we
doing
get into that, I think we better start off by saying what's going on with Whales or Whales while we were away, or maybe while we were away.
Were a whale?
No. Okay.
No.
Well, we'll cover it anyway. Hey, Bryan, what's going on with Whales or Whales?
Oh man, how would I know?
I don't know. We kind of talked about it for like an hour or two yesterday.
Shoot, right. I run it. That's right. Okay. Well, a lot has been going on with Whales or Whales. So, funny story. I recorded a podcast on Wednesday. Then I recorded another podcast on Thursday. I recorded another podcast on Friday. And I'm recording another podcast today. So, apparently a lot's been going on. Or so it seems.
Well, this is the fruits of our labor. This is the life we chose for ourselves.
Pretty much.
And you're not getting paid for any of it.
I am paying myself.
In what?
Money.
You're just giving yourself your own money?
Yeah, I feel good about it too.
I don't know if you know this, Bryan, but that's not quite how economics work.
He just pulls up his bank
does.
statement and sees a withdrawal of $50, and the very next day, what do you know?
It balances
$50.
really well, so
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. Very easy to...
And eventually, when you have $0, you can just give yourself no money. No more.
Cameron, that's not how it works. Stop being naive.
Okay.
Anyway, so Whales or Whales, one of the podcasts I recorded, I think I can just go through these chronologically, and it'll pretty much cover what we've been doing on Whales or Whales. On Wednesday, I recorded Third Person, and that is going up, that went up 3 days ago. I hate this delay.
No, I don't think we should do that. We just...
Okay. Yeah,
the
whatever.
illusion never was there anyways, so...
That's true. We're not going to keep that up. That went up the 15th of March, and it was a really good episode. Unfortunately, you were not there for it, Stephen. But Abigail and I had a very interesting discussion, and I think it went excellently. So that's...
I can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. For people who haven't listened to Third Person yet, it's our podcast about storytelling, and that it always leads to really good conversations. On Thursday, I recorded a test pilot episode for a show that actually isn't announced yet, and we're still working on the
I don't even know
details.
what that is, I don't think.
Well,
Yeah, I've mentioned the ideas to you before, Cameron, but then again, I've mentioned a lot of ideas to you.
Yeah,
so.
no, we kind of bounce ideas off each
I know
other
what
a
it
lot.
is. Lego My Lego. Brian's new Lego podcast.
Wow, Zach, we were kind of saving that.
Yeah, I know.
Post. We'll do it in post.
Wait.
How,
Wait.
How does, podcasts or audio?
Yep.
Legos or visual?
Well, you know that sound when you're digging through a bunch of Lego
It's
bricks?
just an hour of that.
As I build stuff, and then I say, look at this, it's awesome, and then it ends.
Lego My Lego.
Yep.
Perfect.
Isn't that copyright though, Zach?
No,
Lego My Eggo?
Well, that's why I made a spin-off.
Lego My Lego is not.
Loopholes. I love it.
Oh, I made my spin-off podcast, Mega Block My Mega Block, which isn't going very well. But anyway, yeah, so that we'll talk about later, but that went pretty well. It's not an episode we're actually going to release, but it gave us an idea of what the format's going to be like and like the technical things. And it's a really good thing that it's not a full episode, because as podcasts always much do when you're introducing someone to the podcast world, one of the panelists messed up his file and it was no good.
Oh, I am very familiar with that.
Yeah.
I know. I'm a little...
Bryan.
Yeah, I told him not to feel bad because I've lost 4 hours.
I'm not pointing out any names or anything, Bryan, but we've had some problems in the past, Bryan, with losing a lot of really important files.
Me,
Bryan,
I swear it wasn't me. But
I know that. I'm just saying, in general, this Disembodied Voices group of people have Bryan lost a lot of.
If you'd like to learn more about this catastrophic event that Bryan was involved in, you should go listen to the Disembodied Voices documentary, in which Bryan is interviewed about the process.
I very much am.
Bryan.
So yeah, we're excited about recording the official first episode next week, and we'll hopefully have that up soon. Speaking of which, Cameron, expect me to be knocking at your logo door again in the near future.
Yeah, sure. Happy to help.
We love Cameron for all the awesome graphic design he brings to our site. He does all of our show logos and the Whales Are Whales logo itself. So
I do every logo except for a weird webcomic. Which true. I could do one for you if you'd like.
Yeah. But the point of that is to be scribbles top to bottom. You do something that looks too nice and fancy.
Yeah, you're too good.
But what are you saying? I can't stoop to your level.
Exactly.
Well, you can't like fake incompetence. It just happens.
But Cameron can fake hiccups, so I doubt incompetence is beyond his reach.
That's true. And if there are two words that remind me of Cameron, it's hiccups and incompetence.
Oh gosh.
Are we back to insulting Cameron, Steven? That's your thing, I know.
Okay, well, I've got good words to say about Cameron, though, because last time we recorded this very podcast, we hadn't finalized or even beganalized our logo work. And so Cameron and I sat down a few nights ago and just said, let's just make a logo in an hour or less because we're sick of wasting time.
Right, so, and this was different than most logos I do because it was like literally... All right, I'm not in the mood. I want to go. I'm in a good mood, but I don't want to, I've just made a logo and I don't want to deal with it anymore. Let's just get something done.
Yeah.
And Steven's like, hey, this font. And I'm like, hey, this whale. Hey, this square. Done. And it turned out really, really, and then Bryan was there for like 2 seconds and suggested a couple of nice changes and it was just done. And it was awesome and we love it.
It was really good. It's looking great on the site. Now I'm having to figure out, Cameron, I agree with you that those rounded borders look better. But we need to update all of our other logos.
I mean, I can do that. It's no big deal.
Yeah, we probably need
I'm going to charge you for it, of course, but
Of course,
whatever.
yeah, exactly.
You guys don't know this, but actually, since the first logo I've ever designed for you, I've been tallying this up.
Oh, no.
And when I need a favor, I'm going to be like, hey, by the way, I worked for 127 hours on your logos. You owe me big time.
Uh-oh. Well, that's when I'm going to not pay you.
Oh. All right.
Sorry to break all the tension.
Dang it.
All right, Cameron, I've got a solution for you. Pay yourself in monthly installments.
See?
It looks really good on your bank statement.
It works well, I swear.
You guys just don't understand how money works.
All right.
There's no gain. Or loss, even.
This is not an economics podcast, Cameron.
No, it's not. I know.
Bring your Keynesian theories and take into the
I don't
streets.
know what that word means.
I don't really either. No one does. All right. So on Fridays, if we're going to be going on Elder Scrolls terminology here, Fredos.
We are.
Of course. I recorded Train Station at 8 with you, Steven.
Yeah. With me.
And we've been experimenting with different little formats recently, partially because we've had a hard time managing schedules for people to get on the podcast.
I feel like our luck is starting to run out.
We're just falling behind, and
Except that, you guys still have an amazing episode all about shop music just waiting to happen. I am here for you.
That's true. Zach's been
sending me shop music links for the past 2 weeks.
That's actually a wonderful idea.
Andy has
just sent you a single Google Doc. Thank you very much.
I know. I was hyperbolizing for the sake of comedy.
Quit being hyperbolic, Bryan.
No. All right.
So yeah, Zach does have some amazing ideas actually, and I'm sure we'll have him on the show again soon. But we try not to just run the same guests repeatedly.
Well, you run you guys.
I don't know. You've been running me for way too long, Steven.
On every week, and then bring Cameron on and turn right.
Oh no! Every podcast is Disembodied Voices.
We are a one-trick pony, people. We really are, I guess. When it's all four of us.
Everything will fall apart and collapse and just become DBcast again.
It's interesting to think actually. These four people here, it's Disembodied Voices. Take one person out of the equation, it becomes a completely different podcast. So, with Steven, Zachary, and me on an anime podcast, it was very different than me, Bryan, and Steven on the Train Station at 8, than Bryan, Steven, and Zachary on train. It's really weird how the dynamics work when it's different people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is absolutely true. And also, talking about different topics and trying to deliver it in different ways. It's the magic of podcasting.
It's the magic of personalities?
It's the magic of conversation,
like a really good book. Yeah, the magic of personalities. How right-sided brains and left-sided brains think differently.
Well, I don't like the tagline as much.
I don't either. I was trying to come up with something stupid off the top of my head.
Something about Translation at 8, for the first time, we got flagged on YouTube for copyright infringement and had to take down our most recent episode.
That is true.
Really?
It was Sony getting on our case for playing, I think, 30-ish seconds while we were talking over it of homemade kazoku.
So here's YouTube just recently increased the... I can't think of the exact phrasing, but basically they made their copyright checker more evil, and so people who are even humming songs now are getting flagged for copyright infringement. So here's what I would do, Steven, personally, because you're not in the wrong, because this is a completely fair use. You should just increase the pitch of the song just slightly in Audacity before you use it, and that way they can never know.
The only problem with that is I exported it into an MP3 and kind of got rid of the original files.
Oh no!
So I had to take the whole.
Well, I mean, you can't do it you can't retroactively do it, but in the future, you're not breaking any laws. You're just kind of skirting around the law that you're not breaking by increasing the pitch just slightly of a song.
And it's never been a problem in the past. I think one of the big reasons is because I guess we kind of stepped on this mainstream import heavy, Japanese licensed.
Well, no, it's not it, honestly. It's because YouTube has recently really increased the amount of copyright infringement claims they're doing. They've actively made it more evil. 2-3 weeks?
Maybe so. Maybe that is a thing.
We also didn't get any complaints from any other people.
I mean, we use 10 songs in the episode, so I don't know.
Right. It's up to you. I mean, they're not going to ever flag you on iTunes or anything.
In this case, Steven, are you just cutting that part out of the show?
Right now, it's just not on YouTube, but when I have a minute, I'm probably going to go back and make an edited version.
That portion. Yeah.
But we don't. It's not like we have a huge YouTube audience, so people aren't banging down the door. But in general,
iTunes and such.
I mean, in general, we have a policy where we know we're kind of treading into weird waters with Train Station at 8 because we play so much music, and once an episode we play a full song. Other times we just talk over it. I feel perfectly right in doing so because
you are right. It's fair use.
It's fair use. It's educational. It's
what is hilarious? If
hilarious?
As a background to this entire conversation, you just played random licensed music behind us talking. So it's Bon Jovi, and then
okay, now that's not fair. I don't think that's quite as honest.
I just think it would sound really funny. Don't actually do that.
But yeah, I mean, we also make an effort to link to every single song that we play in the show notes to where you can buy the music. We do it as fair as possible.
You're literally doing it exactly how the law says you should do it.
Right.
And YouTube is stupid.
But if anyone were to approach us and say, we want you to take our music out of your podcast, we would do so. It's a little different with a YouTube robot. But
exactly. Most people wouldn't do that because there is nothing harmful being done to their...
Of course, the problem with that is, and this is the stupid issue with our legal system, if they really wanted the music out of our podcast and you said no, they would just hire a lawyer, and then you'd be screwed because you don't have the money to hire a lawyer. That's kind of it's bullying, pretty much.
That's one reason that if someone ever asked us, we'll just take it out.
And it's really dumb, and I hate that part of it. Why are we talking about this?
We're talking about this because we recorded Train Station 8, and that went pretty well, and because...
I guess, why are we getting in depth about it?
Because that's
kind of interesting.
The kind of people we are, Cameron.
Yeah, I guess. I just feel like that kind of stuff is really big bullying. Big corporations can bully little corporations because they have more money, and I hate it. It's really stupid.
Well, to be fair, I think a lot of people would just be posting the music on YouTube so they can listen to it, and other people can listen to it. And that's not the case with us, but they don't know that since they're just using robots. So I understand where they're coming from. But, in our case, I can't imagine homemade Kazoku being angry at us. But besides, I love the music so much, I would do anything they say.
I have them on the show.
Do they speak English?
I have no idea.
Anyway, the other thing we're doing with Whales Are Whales, though, is another test show with me and Zach.
Right.
And I guess we can't really... I don't know. Whatever. We're experimenting with...
It already, is a thing out there on the internet. It's that it's being reborn in a new form.
The only reason I can't attach it to Whales Are Whales is because it isn't technically a Whales Are Whales thing yet, but whatever.
It's not yet. It's just a silly thing that I wanted to do last year, back when I had no job, and that was like, and it was a sort of this like, hey, I like anime. Steven hates anime. I kind of want to make Steven watch anime with me, and that is where the show Sets and the Gaijin Kid came from.
It was a wonderful show too, by the way. I really enjoyed being on the episode that I was on.
Yeah, that was fun.
I watched that other anime, that dancing one.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to talk about it, and then we didn't have an episode.
Yeah, that more or less because we figured that, because if you weren't aware, which pretty much everybody listening to this would not be aware, Set Senpai and the Gaijin Kid kind of put like all the effort on the listener, because I wanted it to be sort of a like live commentary. So basically, I would record Steven and I talking over the episode as we watched it. But that kind of like, put the effort on the viewer to actually go and go and watch it and actually
sync it up,
play the audio file with the episode, and that was just too much work. So we're now turning into more of, I guess, just like same concept. It's me and Steven watching something, but this time it's more or less we're gonna come out after watching it and then just talk about it for 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And I think that it'll work out a lot better, and we have a lot of really interesting, and I think somewhat humorous ideas to kind of make it stand out amongst all the other anime podcasts out there, of which there are a lot, and they are all pretty much terrible. But which
are you guys?
Which makes it even more important for us to be good.
Are you guys releasing bi-weekly? What is the release schedule for that?
Starting out, we want to make it bi-weekly.
Because one idea I had, if you're going for 30 minutes, is you could sit down, discuss 2 episodes, and then release those 2 episodes a week each. Since it's not really, how time sensitive is it? Are you typically watching the episodes the week they release?
Yeah, it's not going to be really time sensitive. But we are planning now to launch in the next 3 weeks, because that's actually when the spring season starts. Which is when a bunch of new shows will begin to air, and so I kind of just want to hit the ground running with these new shows that will be entirely new to me and Steven. And so,
do you need a logo?
We will, but before we get Bryan to make music, before we get Cameron to make logos, we're just gonna test this show out and see if we like it. So it's gonna be all royalty free stuff.
That's exactly what I was doing this week as well with that other show.
Yeah,
it's a good way to go, and you also get an idea of how your show's vibe is, and how you want the logo and everything to be.
Yeah.
So,
but for those who are potentially interested in an anime show, then there's a very high chance that we'll have something for you. For those of you not interested in an anime show, we're taking that into consideration too, because this is hopefully going to be entertaining, even if you don't particularly like or particularly dislike anime, because that's kind of where I originally come from. So it's 2 perspectives. That's the goal.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see where that goes. I was on one of the old episodes, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you were.
2 of them, actually.
Were you on 2 of them?
Yeah, one. Okay, so one was about all the Sega girls.
Yeah, that was right. I brought you on for Sega Hard Girls.
Exactly.
That show's actually really good. That show actually ended on a really nice and very positive note.
Nice. It seemed interesting if it, wasn't too deep for that first episode.
Yeah.
Hey, do we want to talk about something that's not Whales or Whales now?
Yeah, we were talking about anime for...
Well, I mean, Whales or Whales shows.
Are we starting a Whales or Whales anime?
No, because none of us are that talented.
Oh, man.
All right, Cameron, what have you been up to the last...
I really want to talk about a game that me and Bryan have been playing. Yeah.
Which one? We have been playing a lot of games.
Well, the one that just you and me have been playing.
Oh, well, do you mean Cities or Resident Evil?
Well, you haven't been playing Cities.
No, but you haven't been playing... Oh, have
yes,
you been playing
have.
Resident Evil recently?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Zach, did you ever play Resident Evil, the original one?
I played it on the PlayStation, and I never actually got a chance to play the remake on the GameCube, or the remake.
Did you ever get far in the PlayStation version?
Yeah.
Did you beat it?
Yeah.
Zach?
Yes.
Did you beat it?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I lost you in there for a second. I was like, "What's going on? Why is he ignoring me?"
I might have been speaking very, very quietly there, but yes.
That was really funny.
Beat it on the PlayStation.
Awesome. So here's what's going. We and Bryan did a really cool thing yesterday, and I actually was very excited about it. So both of us have two monitors on our desk.
Yes.
And so last night I was playing Cities Skylines, which by the way is awesome. And Bryan was playing the remake of Resident Evil, and I was streaming Cities, he was streaming Resident Evil, and I was playing Cities on one monitor and watching him play Resident Evil on the other. And even though there was about a 20-second time delay on both the games, it actually was the closest I've ever felt to having somebody sitting in my living room and playing a game with me.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It was rad. It was so cool because it had that feeling of having a friend come over and chill. We're not really hanging out together, but we're playing games together with each other, kind of back and forth. And so I got to play my game, he got to play his. So, Bryan, what do you think of Resident Evil so far?
Yeah, so I talked about this some actually on third person because I was talking about how its storytelling is done. You know, Resident Evil has a pretty awful story.
Well, right.
But in terms of like the type of fear it creates and how the mechanics work to make you feel kind of powerless compared to a lot of modern horror games, Resident Evil games, it was interesting enough to discuss in that context. So yeah, check out that podcast for people who want to hear me discuss that angle. But just in general for Resident Evil, I am enjoying this game way more than I thought I would.
Is that so?
Yeah. So I don't know, Bryan, if you had this problem originally, but my first problem with Resident Evil was it's really hard to start. And when I was a kid, and now actually, I had the problem where I was just like, I don't get it. This is stupid. I have a key. I have a mask. It doesn't go anywhere. I'm lost. I'm dying. I used all my ammo. I don't understand. I quit. This is dumb.
So,
but then,
go ahead.
Oh, well then I restarted, and as an adult, obviously, I pushed through it, and I took advice from a friend who'd already beaten it multiple times, and it took an hour, but it finally was like, click! Oh! I get it now! I understand what I'm doing wrong, and what the game is expecting of me, and now this is amazing.
Yeah, a very similar experience for me as well. So my experience with Resident Evil games in general is very, very slight. I played, at your urging, Resident Evil 4,
excuse me for 1 second.
Yes.
What are you buying? Continue.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So played that, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And that I got maybe 2 of the 3 acts into it. I enjoyed it, but I didn't like fall in love with it. It was a more action-oriented take on the Resident Evil series. But I actually really appreciated it in its calmer moments. And Resident Evil, the original, actually is much more the type of game I enjoy. I had the exact same difficulty you did getting into this, Cameron. I started playing it, assuming it would play, a lot like Resident Evil 4, and I was going around just shooting all the zombies that were in my way, and then maybe like an hour into the game, I was completely out of ammo. And zombies were just blocking everywhere I needed to go.
He came to me and he was like, what do I do? And I was like, what? What's wrong? And he's like, I don't have any ammo, and there's zombies everywhere. And I'm like, you don't have any ammo? What are you using your ammo on? He's like, zombies. And I'm like, all right, so here's your problem. Immediately. Don't shoot all the zombies. If you don't have to, don't shoot them.
Video games are training you that you kind of kill everything you see.
Yeah, specifically, I'm pretty sure various video game tutorial people have said, shoot everything that moves multiple times in my lifetime.
Yeah, so that threw me off, but once I learned to play it in a way that had me conserving my resources instead of just spending them because there were things to spend them on, it became much more interesting. The best description I've come up with this game for people who have a good breadth of gaming knowledge but have not played Resident Evil before is it's like Luigi's Mansion, except everything's actively trying to kill you.
Which,
I like that comparison, yeah.
Which, when you think about it, was kind of the point of Luigi's Mansion to say it's like Resident Evil, but nothing is actively trying to kill you.
I hadn't realized how much of an homage to Resident Evil Luigi's Mansion was.
All the corridors, all the
similar.
Distinct rooms and enemies and...
Right.
That's cool. Yeah. That's really interesting. So you're saying that the original Resident Evil, or at least the remake of it, is kind of like the village from Resident Evil 4, but the whole game?
No, actually no. So here, Steven, unfortunately, throw out what you know about Resident Evil 4, because it really does take the game in a completely different direction. In my opinion, a great direction, but that's opinions. Resident Evil 1 drops you into a mansion with at least 35 different rooms. And it says, all right, go. And you're like, what? And some doors are locked, some doors are broken, there's puzzles everywhere, there's items everywhere, there's zombies everywhere, there's different obstacles everywhere, and it expects you to figure it out. That's what Resident Evil 1 pretty much is.
That sounds really
There's very
stressful.
little guidance.
It's incredibly stressful, and but you have to think that it's not a linear path at all. It's 100% quote unquote open world, but that's not really a good description for it because
open
it's open house. I love it, Zach. I love it.
It's an open house game.
It's tight corridors. It's super small rooms where zombies are chasing you in a circle around a table because you forgot to burn them, Bryan.
Oh my gosh.
So it's not anything like Resident Evil 4, honestly. Resident Evil 4 had the...
Wait a minute. I made a conscious decision not to burn that zombie that you supported.
No, here's what I said. I said, you asked me, should I burn the zombie? And I said, you don't have to, I guess, because there's a table to run around. And that's what you did. When you came back, you ran around the table and you got out. So what's the problem here?
Because he was faster than me and that didn't work. He started killing me, so I couldn't
He hit you one time and then you did get out.
Okay, you guys are impartial. I think we should ask the zombie.
Zach, I want to hear your take on this. Do you remember much from the game at all? What do you think?
I mean, I thought it was like I played it back when I was like 13.
Right, and that's what I did too.
I beat it with the help of a walkthrough.
Oh yeah, don't worry, I did the same thing.
And it was just like, wow, that was a game. I probably don't want to play again because that made me really stressed out, and I don't really want to do that again. And then Resident Evil 2 came out, and I'm like, let's do it again!
Right, that's pretty much how everyone did.
Still my favorite, but
they got progressively simpler. 1 was this incredibly complicated mansion with a million rooms and a million things, and there was a garden, and there was a basement, and there was a scientist lab, and there was a cave.
I would say that 2 was actually more complex than 1.
Oh, really?
Because 2 had, like, more, because, like, since, like, 2 was, like, starting off in Raccoon City, then the police headquarters, then the, like, underground lab, and the sewers, and the train station, and everything. Like, it was, like, it was at least, like, twice as big.
Well, there was more content in Resident Evil 2, but I don't think the content was as complicated as Resident Evil 1's mansion.
Yeah, I mean, the puzzles weren't quite as, like, hey, here's this thing, where does it go? I don't know. Somewhere like 8 hours down the line, just put it in a box for now.
And then 3 came out and it was horrible and stupid and everything was dumb.
3 is fine if you're just into the like white knuckle kind of tension and nothing else.
Yeah,
so
it took place on the streets.
More linear?
Resident Evil 3 was way more linear, took place on the streets almost entirely, and it had a ton of backtracking. Yeah. Like, because it wasn't isolated in a single area-ish, kind of like, the mansion and the police station and the garden and the basement, it was spread out across an entire city. And so, hey, this fire hose goes in the very first spot that I was ever in the entire game. Here we go!
That's something that's really smart about the design of Resident Evil is, at least up to the point I have played, almost every place you go, in the end, feeds back into that one giant entryway when you come in at the beginning. So the game is constantly feeding you back into almost like a hub to everything else. That's like the one room that's completely safe, and it's the one room that basically leads out into the rest of the world. And that's a great idea because you never have to trek that far to get to any one point, even though it is a pretty intricate place in general.
It's very close. It's close together. All the rooms, it might be a big mansion, but it's all in the same area. So it's not like, in Skyrim, all right, time to run across the entire world to get to a new area. Yeah, it's like, no, it's there. It's bam. It's right there within, you can get there in 5 minutes if you survive.
Mm-hmm. So I'm enjoying it a lot.
That's cool.
How far into it would you say I am, Cameron?
You are maybe almost a quarter into it.
Whoa! It's that long?
Well, no, I'd say you are a quarter into it.
That's still way longer than I expected.
You haven't even gotten to the garden, man.
I don't even know what the garden is.
Exactly.
It's a garden, right?
I mean, you haven't got to the cabin, the garden, the elevators, the pool, the basement, the scientist lab, the cave. You have a lot more to go.
That's good. I really like this game.
Yeah, it sounds about right. He's about a quarter of the way through.
I just killed the thing in the coffin.
Yeah. Oh man, actually no, I don't even know if you are a quarter. It's right between a little less than a quarter and a quarter.
I'm slow at playing games.
You're not actually doing bad. No, you're not being slow. It's just a long game.
Yeah, weird. It just doesn't strike me in a game that would be long, I guess, because I'm used to Luigi's Mansion.
Well, when you're first time through, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of figuring things out. You take everything
very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's been great. But Cameron, we've also been playing another game.
Have we?
Yeah.
Well, I don't recall.
It's a game we played last night. Game probably going to play tonight.
Maybe we should do 20 questions.
It's not ringing a bell. Is it a game by Valve?
No.
Nope.
Is it a game by Maxis?
No.
Nope.
I don't know, man. What is it?
Zachary, do you know what game we're talking about?
Well, for the past 2 minutes or so, my brain has been screaming, "Don't say Hearthstone." But
it's not Hearthstone.
Okay.
Don't worry, Zach. It's
on the right track.
Much better than Hearthstone. You'll love this fine product.
Triple Triad.
No.
Maybe we should make that happen, though.
Nope. Incorrect again.
All right, Bryan, stop being cagey.
All right. I kind of want to keep being cagey.
I'm kind of actually embarrassed to say it.
You are? Why are you embarrassed?
Because it's a genre that I have bashed repeatedly for the past 3 years.
So you should be proud.
Now you feel like I feel when I played Dragon Age 2.
Yes.
Which is, man, I held this thing in contempt for no stinking reason except I wanted to hold it in contempt.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, that's exactly how I feel.
Yep, and it's a bad feeling, but it's also kind of a liberating feeling. Like, maybe I can learn from this in the future and stop being so stupid. I don't know if I've learned that lesson or not, but this has been another piece in that puzzle for people who just want us to distinctly say what we've been playing. We have been playing a fine Blizzard product by the name of Heroes of the Storm.
Oh, that thing.
Yes.
I could not have guessed that just because it's not even a real game yet. It's still an alpha or something.
It's in beta now.
Beta, alpha.
That now counts as a real game in the current climate.
It doesn't.
A Blizzard beta is more polished than 90% of real games, so.
All polish and no depth.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Blizzard
burn!
games.
I'm actually...
You are not one to say that as someone who plays visual novels, but...
Hey, visual novels have more text than Blizzard games.
That is a fair point. Visual novels have
and I
more.
should hope they have better stories. I love Blizzard storytelling.
Blizzard doesn't typically, besides World of Warcraft, have them. Anyways, so yeah, Heroes of the Storm. It's a MOBA. I'm ashamed.
It is a MOBA. My experience with MOBAs in the past has been documented in Disembodied Voices lore a little bit. And in other words, I've tried playing Dota with friends and have been terrified and bored out of my mind at the same time. I don't know how those two emotions go together. But it has this soul-crushing desire to not bother learning it.
Well, it's the reason. No, Bryan, it's terrifying and boring. It's so terrifying to try to get into something like this that you just turn off and you don't care enough, and it becomes boring.
Exactly.
Because when you look at Dota, it's like, oh, look, I can play as one of 200 heroes who I don't know who to choose. I don't know who to turn off.
Not only that, but in addition to the heroes thing, it's like, and you can buy all these items. So the difficulty with the item purchasing system in Dota for me is it's making me feel like I'm constantly making the wrong choice at a given time. Because I could always be going back to this shop. And
it's too big for its own good.
Right.
If you didn't start out playing Dota, you're not going to ever be able to get into Dota IMO.
So essentially what Blizzard did for the MOBA scene is exactly what they did for the MMO scene back in 2004 with World of Warcraft. Mm-hmm. And they said, let's make this bright, let's make this inviting, let's make this fun, let's take the scary, angry, competitive, complex nature out of it and just focus on the bits that people enjoy, that everyone can enjoy.
2 or 3 weeks ago, some friends got me into Heroes of the Storm, outside of either you or Cameron playing it, Steven. So neither Steven or Cameron had played it yet. And I was just playing it with some other friends, and the game finally started clicking for me a little bit. Like, I was being taught how to play it by someone who actually knew what they were doing, and I was having fun with the game in a way I hadn't when I just tried to solo queue on it when it had first opened up into beta for me. And so I decided that it was worth seeing if Steven and Cameron would also be willing to join me on this escapade.
And it just so happened that I had gotten an invite the day that he was planning on asking me to.
Me too.
To play
pretty much.
That was really weird. Yes.
Yeah, that was totally a coincidence. That was weird.
Exactly. So we decided to start playing it, and oh my gosh, it was the most fun I'd ever had on that.
I haven't said, OMG, this is fun, OMG, this is fun, for as much as I have in that game in a long, long time.
Yeah.
I just kept on saying it. I was just like, yeah, this is fun. Oh my gosh, this is fun. Why is this? This is so fun. Every time I would do something, this is fun. Every time I would win, this is fun. Every time I would lose, this is fun.
Yeah, I mean, you may think Cameron is making this up, but there would be so many amazing moments where we'd be like, no, just stop, no, I can't believe that happened. And there'd be a bit of silence, and you hear Cameron go,
so
this is fun. It was just a great time.
So, why do you guys think it's so much fun for you to play?
Okay, so
have we established that it's fun?
Yes.
I think the first thing that makes it fun for me is because it's Blizzard. And I am invested in the Blizzard lore in general. I mean, I don't care about World of Warcraft, but I know of World of Warcraft, and I appreciate the lore and the cutscenes and the cool CGI and stuff like that. I'm heavily invested in StarCraft, and I'm heavily invested in Diablo. And so that's the first thing that drew me to this game more than Dota or League of Legends, is that I actually care about these heroes. Nova, I like Nova. Raynor, I like Raynor. I like these characters.
I think what fits them so well is that Blizzard doesn't necessarily write the most intricate plots or the best dialogue between their characters. I don't think Heart of the Swarm had a very good plot, for example.
Yeah, not at all.
But they make very good, character archetypes. Great, larger-than-life, really fun,
they write superheroes, basically.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison. They're like superheroes.
Yeah, really, it is.
And that they create really fun, vibrant characters that may not have the most, depth to them, but they're very cool to look at and very cool to root for and very cool to see as heroes of a world. And this is, the perfect genre for that, because it's more about, what these characters represent than who these characters are.
So for the reason why the game itself is so fun, for me, short version, is that every little decision you make matters, and you can see the consequences of it. So when you're working together and you need a healer and someone runs in who's a healer, everything changes, and suddenly the other team is on the run when before they were trampling all over you.
Yeah, see, my original thought about MOBAs in general was that I couldn't grasp why it would be fun, because I would think, okay, you have a hero, you have another hero, and they're fighting. Well, the better hero is going to win. What's the point? If someone has more health, they're gonna kill the person who has less health. I don't understand why this is fun.
It's but then when if you just had two heroes in Warcraft 3 and had them start hitting each other.
Yeah, just clank, clank, clank. Oh, the person with more health lived. So, but then as I started playing, I realized that it's not about a 1v1 hero. It's about maneuvering properly to save yourself if you are outmatched. It's about maneuvering properly to kill the other hero if they're outmatched. It's about working with your teammates in a way that can outmatch other people, or running away if you're outmatched. It's just, it's a game of movement almost, where you have to really analyze what you need to do in order to not die or to kill another person to make them die.
Right.
It's way more in depth. I just couldn't grasp that until I actually played it.
It looks
extensively.
Boring. You cannot watch someone play a MOBA being uninformed about the genre and have a good time. It looks boring.
Not only that, but the mechanics are boring. If you play in single player, or you play against AI that aren't giving you a challenge, or you play without friends, it is boring. It isn't like Titanfall, which just feels good to play, kind of regardless of what's going on, or like a good shooter or something like that. The mechanics themselves aren't going to be very interesting. It's all in how you're applying it and who you're doing it with, and the larger levels around just the pure mechanics of controlling your character. Which was something that kind of made it click for me more when I started playing with the right group of people. The other thing I wasn't expecting so much is how much map awareness and controlling the map, capturing mercenary camps, that sort of thing defines how the game flows.
Yeah. It was a multi-level of clicking for me. It was the characters clicked. The map, focusing on the map clicked. How to move your character clicked. It was like a multiple layer of things that had to really work in my mind properly before I was finally okay, no, this is a blast. This is so much fun, because it was just so. That's why it's not very inviting to newcomers either, is because you have to be invested in it in order to get good at it, or understand all the mechanics. And it was the map control that really took me a long time, because I was Bryan would say, get the mercenaries, and I was I don't know what that means. Why are we getting these mercenaries? Yeah. And then as I looked at the map and I saw our mercenaries that we just captured were traveling towards the enemy's base, I was oh, that's what it means. That's the thing. I get it now. We're doing that to do the thing which hurts the enemy. I get it.
Last night, this stuff was starting to make sense to me, and it just keeps getting more and more fun. I really wanted to just go and play more of that game.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think it's really, it's interesting to me because, like, it reminds me of playing StarCraft with you, Cameron, in that, like, it's so much about the group of people you're with and the enthusiasm and fun they're bringing to the game. Because if you're not trying to work with each other and actually, like, really actively participating in the game, it's not going to be very fun.
Right, but it's also so much more accessible than StarCraft because
oh yeah,
well, for a million reasons, but it's like the mechanics have been simplified to the point where you don't feel like if you're losing, you don't feel like it's 100% your fault. Like if you lose in StarCraft, it's your fault. You're because you messed up here, and here. If you lose in Heroes, you don't feel as bad because you might think, well, this team was just way better than us, and our team wasn't working quite in sync, but I was doing pretty good, and so I feel good about that because I feel like I was doing my part for the team. It just wasn't, I don't know, there's not a sense of, when you lose in this game.
It's very,
a sense of,
like,
I can do better
optimistically team-spirited. It's like we're all in this together.
The game takes great lengths to do that, too, from how they show stats to how it has team leveling to how it doesn't matter if you're the guy who kills someone, you just have to be near the takedown. Like, they very, very much try to downplay individual players saying, I'm the only good person on this team.
And I've only had one person in my entire experience so far that's been a jerk on our team. And he only said, like, one jerkish thing, and that was it.
Yeah.
In general, it's like, I mean, last night we had a really good team, but we were, like, talking to each other and good job, hurry up, we were doing a great, like, team chat of boosting morale and having a good time. At the end, we all were like, it was a giant list of GG, we had a great time, good game, everybody.
Yep,
The community is way more positive than StarCraft's community or most communities I've ever seen before.
Yeah, it's actually really impressive. Everyone across maybe like 2 or 3 mean players, and even then it's just, people acting kind of
So what we're trying to say, Zachary, is our team has an open slot and we need someone to go in and help us with some tanking.
Yep, this
Zach,
is true.
What do you say, bud?
What?
You want to play Heroes with us?
What if there was an anime MOBA?
I think I might have just blacked out for the last, like...
That's okay, I do that a lot with this podcast, or with podcasts in general.
But anyway, that's Heroes of the Storm. I think it's super fun. We are definitely going to keep playing more of it.
So, Zach, we've been playing Western RPG-inspired games recently. That begs the question, have you been keeping up the balance of playing Japanese-inspired RPGs?
Well, if you want to know more about my exploits with Japanese RPGs, head on over to honestgamers.com and meet my reviews of Oreshika and Hyper Devotion Noir Goddess Blackheart right now. honestgamers.com. Right now, go there right now.
Here I go.
Wait, is that a MOBA?
No.
Honest Gamers. No, really, what the heck is that?
Well, I guess first, like Oreshika Tainted Bloodlines. Its actual Japanese name is like Ore no something 2. It's a sequel to a game that we never got. Essentially, though, it's a Sony published like JRPG that has you trekking through dangerous dungeons and other things to fight evil and demons in an ancient Japanese setting, but the gimmick, I guess, the shtick, is that you have been cursed with the curse of only being able to live for 2 years.
Bummer.
So basically, you have to keep on, like, making, like, new people as you keep progressing through the game, or else your clan just dies out.
Oh.
But your clan has also been cursed that they actually cannot normally, like, procreate. So they have to basically, like, make deals with gods so that gods, like, basically, like, immaculately concept new children for them.
Wow. That's a really interesting... Yeah. That's a cool gameplay mechanic.
It's really hardcore, and it's timed on you, and every character dies between 18 and 24 months. And they played this like really sad song, and they're just like, the only thing I regret in life is that I did not eat more Cheetos. No, nothing like that.
Wait, if you're creating more people and they're dying within 2 years, are just a bunch of babies dying repeatedly?
No. It's they're actually like born like as a full-fledged like human being.
That's much better.
It's weird, like like Japanese gods doing weird magic.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, like it's basically like once they're born, they only get to live for up to 24 months, but generally it's like 18, 19 months is usually when they die.
Gotcha.
Can you play the Song of Time and go back in time and save them?
No. There is an item which is either ridiculously hard to get in-game, or you can pay 50 cents on the PSN to buy it.
Of course.
Which allows you to go back 1 month.
That's it?
Which actually is very helpful because as certain characters get on in years, especially in dungeons, as they near their age of death, their stats begin to go down drastically.
That kind of reminds me of that game that was on Steam, that dungeon crawler where there was like an insanity meter.
Darkest.
What was that called?
Depths dungeon.
Yeah, because like you're as you adventured more and you got more hurt, your characters would become more insane and lose stats or become weaker or stronger because they would go, different kinds of crazy. That kind of reminds me of that a little bit. I cannot remember its name at all. Darkest Dungeon?
Darkest Dungeon. Yeah, that sounds. I remember that being somewhat of an indie game, playing a few weeks back.
So can you look at a huge family history tree and trace your ancestors?
Yes, you can.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
So it's like Rogue Legacy.
There we go. That's the game it reminded me of.
It sort of is in a way as well because each character besides their stats and everything, they also have one little non-gameplay affecting thing about them. One likes cats. One hates plants. I actually had somebody that just said that they hated plants.
Well, that's
and I'm like,
a bad malady, dude. Well, that's great because I love that aspect of Rogue Legacy, but I didn't much like Rogue Legacy. So
this is just a straight up it's a very traditional turn-based JRPG. Just with the added, I guess, it can get pretty tense every once in a while, especially because the story is set up to where the story dungeon only opens up during a certain month inside of one of the dungeons on the world map. And so then you usually have to go a month before it opens because it takes about a month just to just to get there. And so sometimes you're they're 16 months old. They probably won't begin to go down in stats next month, and then you get there and then you realize that nope, their stats went down by 40. Crap.
Because such is the fate.
And then the boss just wipes you, and that was my problem near the end there, is that I was just getting wiped constantly by bosses because I kept on just trying to push it as hard as I could, and the game was just not having.
So what stops you from just creating a bunch of new people whenever you want? What's the mechanic that
it costs devotion, which you get from killing enemies.
So you could grind basically on weak enemies and try to get your
weak enemies give you next to no devotion. You actually have to keep going to keep going to harder and harder dungeons because basically if you were to take a high stated character and then mate them, I guess, with a god with low stats, then the character that you got would actually be weaker than the one that just died. So basically you're always wanting to mate with gods that are more powerful than your character to create more powerful characters next turn around.
Could you get stuck like this? Could you have a party where you're just old and weak and you can't do any more fighting and just be stuck?
If you're bad at planning.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that.
Cameron, you just had your city get flooded, so I guess you...
Shut up!
Your planning skills
Shut up!
And use some work.
Yeah, basically this game is, pretty much, you have to kind of, plan out what you're gonna do at least about 6 months,
Oh, man.
Yeah, about, 6 or 7 months.
I don't know if I could do that.
in advance before you actually do anything.
I don't plan my day out more than like 3 hours. So
although there is a cute like weasel girl who basically runs your house, and she will actually she'll actually tell you, or rather if you want to, she actually can set up a monthly plan for you, and her suggestions are actually pretty solid most of the time. So if you actually don't want to get into the nitty gritty of all the monthly planning, then basically just leave everything up to her, and I mean it works out pretty well.
That sounds like a cool game. I think it kind of reminds me of Racketeer a little bit. The thing is, I think
capitalism ho
all the way. Yeah, sometimes I think JRPGs get a little dull, but I like it when they give you a broader mission to think about. That isn't just go into dungeon and leave dungeon. I like it.
Yep.
But
so
can be fun too,
one question I have about that story or game is the story. If the characters are dying and seemingly pretty randomly generated, how does it tell its story with them?
There is no story so much with them. I mean, it's sort of like the setup is that so basically this villain stole the instruments of festivity from the land, which basically are basically what the humans use to hold 4 festivals a year that praise the gods, and the gods get the energy from that. Apparently, though, the instruments were originally built to funnel praise between the gods, humans, and the demons, but then the gods changed it so that only they get it, and so the demons were jealous and then took it. But the emperor, or rather a guy working for the emperor, framed your clan, and so then basically their theft, he had your entire clan wiped out, which, I mean, the game begins with 3 members of your clan being brought back, to life too, and then basically you go from there. Where the story is not so much about, any individual character as it is about the clan as a whole fighting to, reclaim, their honor and name. But the story is more about the villain, because he's actually doing it for pretty altruistic reasons. I mean, because his father was the one who actually made the instruments, and he just wants to get them back to their first purpose of funneling all the energy between between all 3 realms. And
that sounds
it's more of a story about you're kind of meant to be more concerned about the villain instead of your own characters.
I like when stories can do that, but still, I have to admit that the whole premise seems nonsensical. I think I'd rather enjoy Heroes of the Storm, which has a very solid foundation for its plot.
Oh yeah, Cameron, did you ever play the tutorial so you actually know what the story is?
I don't care.
I think you know the story just intuitively, Cameron. Everything you've seen in the game is the story.
There's a point worlds were joined to the multiverse, and now they're fighting each other.
But there is even a point where Uther Lightbringer tells Jim Raynor to stop thinking about it. Because Randall's like, why are we doing this again? Just don't think about it. Destroy those fortresses. That's pretty much the plot.
So, Cameron, I meant to send this to you before, but did you ever see this? I'm sending it in a little Skype thing. The concept art they did for the Diablo map.
Oh.
They want to release.
Oh, man, that looks cool.
Yeah, I'd be really, really excited if they released that.
So,
just wanted...
I really want other world maps instead of just Warcraft.
Have you seen that, Steven?
I have, yes. It looks awesome.
Yeah, looks pretty rad.
Yeah,
pretty sweet.
I agree.
But anyway, just wanted to do that while it was on my mind.
Yeah.
Cool. It's looking good. But yeah, that game sounds pretty interesting, Zach. I think
it definitely does.
It's probably super long, right? Like most JRPGs.
Actually, what's sort of interesting about this game is actually when you first start the game, instead of asking you which difficulty you want to play on, the game instead asks you how much time you're willing.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, to invest in the game.
That's so thoughtful.
And then basically it changes it changes how stats work and stuff based upon that too. Whereas if you want to do the Maniac mode, which is like 100 hours or more, everything is basically just like, everything is just the base game. If you want to finish the game in just like 30 hours, then they actually like double the XP and gold that you get, and they also make the enemies like 25% like weaker.
Interesting.
That's a really cool idea.
It's crazy. Yeah. I've never heard of a game doing that.
Like, why doesn't every game do that? Like, hey, I only want to play 5 hours of this game and I'd like to beat it. Can I do that? Oh yeah, sure, here you go, here's a way to do
Mass
that.
Effect kind of did that, right? Like, they just basically gave you story mode. Mass Effect 3?
That was really cool.
Oh yeah, some games do ask you want to just enjoy the story. That's a good point, yeah. But it doesn't happen often enough.
Not many, like, put it in the hour...
I mean, it's kind of like a difficulty slider, I suppose, but phrasing it differently.
It is a difficulty, exactly.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's great. Well, guys, I'm tired of talking about video games.
Okay.
Actually, maybe we should end the podcast. Who wants to end the podcast?
I mean, I need to go.
That was kind of my thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, we're just at about the hour mark, so that seems like a pretty good idea.
Anyone have anything else they wanted to talk about with the burning desire through the very souls and depths of the hearts?
No.
No? Cool. Well, then let's head to the outro, shall we, folks? This has been a Whales or Whales podcast. That was a lot of fun. Actually, let me rephrase that. This has been a late Disembodied Voices podcast. We pretty much just talked about video games for a while and called it a day, which is fine by me.
We talked about a lot of other stuff.
You're right. We had a bunch of Whales or Whales stuff going on, and we learned some things about Cameron, as we always do. It was fun.
But you did? Like what?
Wait, what did we learn about Cameron that we didn't already know?
Well, I guess it was slightly before the show, but we learned at how he's good at faking hiccups.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned that he can change his heart about MOBAs.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we learned he's a poor city planner. That's all I can think of right now.
I know. Listen, shut up. You never actually heard what happened, and I do not blame myself as much as I blame.
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
So water physics. All right. So I just, in tradition of Disembodied Voices, I pretty much just hate you all.
If you want to find out about more Whales or Whales products and people, you should go to whalesorwhales.com or check us out on Twitter, Whales or Whales. Over there, you can find me at Stephen Kelly 180, Zachary at Phase on Masher, Cameron at Dell 90 Watt AC, and Bryan at Lord Meldor with 2 R's at the end.
You just told people how to spell Lord Meldor.
You're right, I broke tradition.
We really aren't Disembodied.
Yeah, we're in a brave new world.
Oh, I'm a little sad
we
now.
are.
Spell it yourself. And lastly...
Sad that people can actually follow me on Twitter now.
Oh, yeah. Good for them.
Yeah.
That explains why you don't have any followers.
Sure.
Yeah, that explains it.
I have plenty of followers. Thank you.
You have more followers than anyone could possibly need. And we also have an email account, which is nice to receive messages at whalesorwhales@gmail.com. That pretty much does it for this show, episode 2 of the Whales or Whales podcast. Thanks everyone for showing up. I had a good time.
I had a whale of a time. There it is.
Oh, good one, Cameron. And Zachary, it was nice to have you on the show for the first time.
I've missed you, Zach.
Yeah, I had a synonym for good of a time.
Awesome.
That was great. That was way better than most of Bryan's.
And Bryan, witty banter,
see you
banter.
guys later.
Wait, what?
Yeah, see, that was way better, Zach, than his stupid pun he just did.
I disagree.
Me
don't.
too. See you next week, folks. In the meantime,
Bye.
have a life.
I'm trying to think of another pun. I guess we'll finish things up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't think I liked it very much.
Why not? What? I thought that was good.
Finish. Well.
Tell me how to improve.